Girl, you know I got your number in my book, and I fall out every time you give that look. But these past few months we drifted far apart. Now I think it's time to take it from the start. 'Cause baby, it's alright now. The sunshine's falling down. Girl, I'll be around to keep you safe and sound.
Hey, this is Chad, and I'm joined here with Austin. This is the Arch City Music Podcast live from the Barn Studio. Austin, how's it going, man?
It's going great, Chad. How are you?
Had a heck of a couple days, right?
Absolutely.
We have a special guest with us online right now. We have TJ Lyle from the Georgia Thunderbolts. TJ, how's it going?
Going great, man. It's going great. Taking it day by day here. How are you all?
We're doing good. I know you have some dates coming up. Are you out on the road right now?
No, sir. We're at home today. Got a few days off, and then we're back in Newton, Iowa. So we're looking forward to that. That's this weekend. Should be a good time. We're with the Marshall Tucker Band and Whitey Morgan and the 78s.
Oh, what a cool lineup.
For sure.
Wow. So, fun fact, the Marshall Tucker Band, my mom and grandma volunteer a whole bunch of time at the St. Louis Stray Rescue here in town. They go and walk dogs. But the CEO of that shelter is the daughter of either Toy or Todd Caldwell of the Marshall Tucker Band.
That is very cool. Yeah, we played with those guys a few times, and Doug Gray, he's always treated us well. You know, it's not every day you get to eat catering with people like that. You know, and we're real blessed and fortunate to be in communication with those people. It's just like a dream come true.
So I know you hear this probably every single interview that you guys do, but we have to get it out of the way. You guys are from Georgia. So obviously the Allman Brothers comes up and that Southern rock, you know, Leonard Skinner sound, you guys get paired to them quite a bit. But it looks like, and it sounds like that you guys, you know, rather than push back on that comparison that you probably hear over and over and over, you guys seem to embrace it a little bit.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you know, we all come from the same walk of life. I know times are a little different, but it's just the area we're from. Everything is so close together down here, and it's a lot of the same common thread, you know, the way that we live, you know, growing up in church and, you know, the small town schools and just farming communities and, you know, import export stuff. We're just raised that way, you know, and it kind of just breezes through us from where we're from and how we were raised and stuff. So no, it's actually an honor to be compared to people like that. We, you know, we're grateful for the opportunities we get. We try to do our own thing, you know, come up with our own genuine sound, but of course there's always going to be a lot of that influence because we were influenced a lot by the blues and stuff, the same as those guys were. And, you know, it gets hot down here and everybody gets blues.
You mentioned the church, and you're actually son of the preacher, and you grew up in church and singing in the church choir. Can you tell us a little bit
sir.
about coming up in that and how that maybe does that seep into your style or your writing or your music?
Yeah, I believe it does. You know, I grew up to always put the right thing first, you know, put God first and everything. I grew up with my dad being a preacher and, you know, my family being in church and, but it wasn't one of those things that was forced, you know, it was a natural thing, you know, and I don't get to go to church as often as I'd like to because we're never home anymore, but it's just one of those things that's always been there. And, you know, soul music has a lot to do with where I come from, soul and gospel. And like I said, blues music and your Wilson Pickett's and your Bad Companies. And then you go to your James Browns, you know, a lot of those people are from around the same area that I'm from. Like Wilson Pickett, he lived over in Prattville, Alabama, which is about 2 hours. And, you know, of course, James Brown was 2 hours south in Augusta. And then your guys like Ray Charles down in, you know, Albany and stuff. So it's all the same common thread. We know what's good. We know the right thing to do, but sometimes we slip off the path a little bit, but I guess that's what they call rock and roll.
Yeah, you guys are, you know, you're down south in a music-rich area of the country. Because
yes, sir.
It is sort of that crossover from like the Delta blues and the Memphis blues and then the Southern rock of the 70s and 60s and 70s and 80s. So, yeah, I could see how that could be like a conglomeration of all your influences growing up.
Oh, yeah. You grow up and you hear it. And subconsciously that becomes a part of your life if you go the route that, like I chose, the rest of the guys chose, that you always know those guys. And if you don't, it's great to study them because they are the greats for a reason, and people draw from them for a reason,
That's a good way to look at it. They sort of laid the roadmap, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, everything always comes back to the blues. Rock and roll it always comes back to the blues. It's a heartfelt song of your life.
Speaking of the hymnals and the hymns that you grew up in the church, there's a lot of harmonies that are involved in those. And I hear that in your song as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, see, I started singing before I was a singer, or I knew I could carry a tune in a bucket. I actually would naturally sing harmony before I sang lead. And it's just always infatuated me that people are able to do that. And I fall short daily trying to learn that stuff, but I keep trying and trying. It's so pretty when you can take what a guitar or a piano's doing and do that with one or two voices.
Yeah.
You make that chord with your voice and it matches so well. It's just out of this world.
Man, that's really interesting that it comes natural to you, because some people really have to study that craft and have to learn how to do it.
Oh, I know it. I really have worked on it for sure, but it's always been my first go-to was singing harmony. And I'm very fortunate to have that ability. I can hear certain things like that, but it's always struck a chord with me hearing people sing harmony. And that's why I listen to a lot of old 40s music too, like the quintets and the quartets and stuff, like the Bing Crosbys and the Andrews Sisters and all that stuff. And like you said, the Stanley Brothers and all that stuff, just the harmony is, oh gosh, it's unmatched.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about music, and especially from that era that we're kind of talking about, is the harmonies.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite bands is Fleetwood Mac, and I think about the harmonies in that band is just incredible.
Oh, the best of the best. That's why they are who they are. They can play all day, but when they open those voices, it's like, God speaking to you or something. It's unreal.
Now, I got to ask you this, because we're talking about influences, and I'm a metalhead myself, but I hear that there's some metalheads in your band.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, everybody likes the metal.
Yeah. What kind of stuff do you guys get into?
Well, the drummer and the guitar player and the bass player, they love Pantera, Metallica, and Megadeth, and, all the big four, all the old school metal. And Bristol listens to a lot of bands like, he digs a little deeper than most, and Zach does too, but everything's pretty much kind of on the surface. But when they get into it, they really get into it, and I think it's really cool. I tried to get into them a few times, but I'm not musically inclined enough, I guess, to understand what the guitar players are doing. But about as heavy as I go is probably Soundgarden and Audio Slave. Okay. I love that stuff.
So it sounds like there was kind of two forces in the band that came together. There was three of you that met the guys that went to high school together, and you guys formed this, I think, maybe super group in a way. But it sounded like maybe one of the first times that they heard you sing, the other side of the band, you guys were doing like Alice in Chains covers or a grunge night or something?
Yeah, we were doing, me and the bass player, Zach, we've known each other for a really long time. Me and the guitar player, Logan, grew up together. And like you said, Riley and Bristol, the lead guitar player and the drummer, they went to Armurchie High School. They met in high school, and they've known each other, for a while. And me and Zach used to play open mic acoustic sets, and we would do Alice in Chains. We would attempt Temple of the Dog stuff, and we were trying to really hone in what the people enjoyed. But we would do the 90s thing, and we would do some crazy stuff, man. We would do like Godsmack and stuff like that, just trying to see, test the waters. Godsmack acoustic's pretty awesome if you really break it down and listen to it.
Oh, yeah. It's good songwriting.
Oh, yeah. And the melodies, like you said, the harmonies and stuff in that, too, is just so subtle, but they're great. The first show I ever watched them do, I don't remember what album it was on, but they do it unplugged, pretty much. They did a residency on DVD in Las Vegas, and they do all their songs acoustic, and it's just, I've never heard anything like it. I like when you can take stuff like that's so fast paced and break it down, and it says something by itself,
Sure, and it shows a spotlight on different areas of your talent where it might not be exhibited in the stuff you normally do.
And another thing with the harmonies too, as we were talking before, is Alice in Chains has some of the best harmonies ever.
Yeah,
they have some of the most eerie, haunting harmonies, and it's just, you have to know the mindset of those people. And I haven't really, we all come from different walks of life, but I've never been able to understand where they come from, but I do know that they are some of the most talented singers, and they got the ear, it's unreal.
You're talking about, Alice in Chains with Jerry Cantrell and then Lane Staley with his haunting vocals, and the mixture of those two are just incredible.
Oh, it's unreal. That's what defined that sound for me. It wasn't the guitars or the instruments, which were great, but it was just the haunting melodies, in the background. There'd be like 12-part harmonies, and it's just, oh gosh, it's unreal. Especially you guys know the Rotten Apple, the Jar of Flies.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, Rotten Apple is probably my favorite one they do because it's just so obscure, and the harmonies are just out of this world.
Yeah, I love all the unplugged stuff that they did, and the softer side of them I love just as much as anything that rocked hard, like Nutshell. Nutshell is one of my favorite songs of theirs.
Absolutely.
So we're on the same page then.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us today. We have TJ Lyle, the Georgia Thunderbolts, going to be out on tour, doing some dates with the Kentucky Headhunters. Talk about legends in the game, and then one of the singers, actually, you guys' manager, is that right?
Yep, Richard Young took us under his wing. Before they were the Headhunters, they were in a band called the Itchy Brother, which was signed to Swan Song Records with Bad Company and Led Zeppelin. I didn't know if you guys knew that or not.
No, that's interesting.
Sure enough, they were in a band. It was Richard and Fred and Greg Martin, and it was Anthony, and that was their cousin Anthony, and they were, which is actually funny because their manager, he's still their manager and he works for them and stuff, but he was Led Zeppelin's guy back in the day. So you could imagine,
wow.
I think he started with them in 1977. And Richard told me the story about them trying to get in touch with Swan Song and trying to get in front of those people. And they, played grueling since the late 60s. And they finally got their shot with the Itchy Brother. And as soon as they got signed or were about to do the paperwork, John Bonham died. Swan Song went under. Everybody parted ways, and then they are what they are today. Like you said, legends. But a lot of people don't know that they were signed to, or almost signed to, Swan Song Records with Zeppelin and Bad Company.
So they can rock just as hard as anybody then.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. I've heard some of that stuff they did back in the day, and they would have gave Led Zeppelin a run for their money. I'll tell you that much.
Wow.
What a cool opportunity for you to work with somebody and learn from them the way they did from a group as influential as Led Zeppelin. And I mean, in a way, by the transitive property, you're getting tips that I'm sure they got from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, oh yeah, and they're so gracious. They say that the music business is dog eat dog, which is very true. And we're one in a million that got hooked up with Richard because he's our sixth member of the band. We wouldn't be where we are today without Richard Young because he saw something in us that we didn't even know was there, and he pulls it out of us daily. Like he says, if we don't get our shit together, we might as well pack up and go home. But I think he'll jerk a knot in us before that ever happens. So he's really the head honcho of this madness, and he makes it work.
He helps with some of the songwriting too, is that right?
Yes, sir, he does. He helped write a few of the songs that are actually on this album that we have out now. Set Me Free was one of them, So You Want to Change the World. He was the one who suggested we do the Frankie Miller song, Be Good to Yourself, and he kind of worked out the arrangements on that, and he kind of threw it on us last minute. We actually heard it that day in the studio, and he said, all right, boys, let's cut it.
Wow.
Awesome.
It's on the spot. We'd never heard the song before. And he pulled it out of us, and it kind of come up with its own little creative pathway, and it is what it is. So he helps write a lot. He's a lot of the brains behind a lot of ways things come across, And
you mentioned the album, Can We Get a Witness? Can we talk about it a little bit?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. One
of my favorite songs is, I love summer songs that you just want to kind of roll your windows down, turn it on loud on the radio. I think It's All Right, and especially the video, gives me just like a summer song vibe to it. Can you tell us specifically about the video a little bit?
Yeah, it was really cool. Jim Arbogast from down in Florida, I think he actually used to live down here in South Georgia somewhere. We linked up with him through Mascot, Ron Berman, our A&R guy at Mascot Records, and he said, we're going to shoot a few videos, and he come up, and this is the third or fourth video. It's All Right was the third or fourth video we had shot with Jim, so we kind of already knew the ropes and stuff, but it was a little different. Like you said, there's lake shots, there's boat shots, and that video was actually shot in between Lake Weiss, Alabama, which is over just west of us, a little piece, about an hour from us. And the rest of it was shot here at my house in the field. We had what they call a barn burner, I guess, burning couches and anything that we could throw on the fire. So we had to wait till perfect time to put the couch on.
Yeah, it was a pretty big fire behind you guys.
Yeah, it was pretty big. Definitely a mess to clean up, but it was so last minute we could hardly get anybody out to come to the video shoot. And people don't really understand the whole rock and roll thing around here. Everywhere else we go in the country, they love it, you know. But down here, this is more of a gridlocked country scene, you know. But we try to do what we do, and I'm grateful to the people who did come out and help make that a possibility, because it was a blast. You know, we got to ride around on the boats and hang out. You know, we just got to do stuff that, you know, people don't really get to do every day. You know, we get to make music, and grateful to our fans. Like I said, that Fury Copeland especially let us, and John Weston Ship, you know, they let us use their boats and stuff, and it's just unreal, man. You know, we're so grateful, and you know, it's all in our lap here. It's just up to us to take it somewhere, you know.
And it looked like a good time. The next time you need some extras for a video like that, make sure you call the Arch City Music Podcast at the barn. We'll be down there.
I'll do it. Hopefully the next go around will be bigger. He's wanting to do a music video he's wanting to do a little documentary music video for one of our songs that we haven't yet put a music video out for, or a lyric video. It's Set Me Free.
Yeah.
It's on the record. He wants to kind of do a cool thing with that. So we kind of been talking that over, trying to get ideas stirring. I know we've been talking about it for a few years now, but he really enjoys that song, and I'd like to see where his creative mind would take that. I think that would be really cool.
Well, that's one of my favorite songs of y'all's too. And what I found interesting is that I saw the Ronnie Van Zant vocal comparisons. I obviously hear the similarities. And then in that one, I caught a Tuesday's Gone reference. Whose idea was that?
Oh, it's just, you know, it just comes out, man. You know, it's things I've heard and saying things that people have said, but trying to make a different point behind it. It was just something that, you know, I'd come up with when I was writing lyrics, because, you know, the funny thing is for years that everybody loved that song, but the 3 or 4 years we had been playing that song live, I never had set in stone lyrics for it. And so I would just make it up as we went along. And then one day we were getting ready to start putting it back in the set, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write lyrics for this song. You know, I'm just gonna make it what people can relate to, you know, try to anyway. I mean, I'm still growing every day as a songwriter, and that was a few years back, but it's just one of those references you hear, you know, and you always hear that song on the radio. So just like the point of what you said, it's a reference, basically.
Do a lot of people catch the reference?
Not often, because they're too drunk.
well, thank goodness Austin was sober. We got it.
Yeah,
Bold of you to assume I was sober.
Bonus Georgia Thunderbolts points, I guess.
That's awesome. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we get to rocking live, man, and we've been doing a lot of opening sets, so we really haven't had much time to play that song. We've been doing the 45s and the hours, and we just kind of keep the energy, you know, through the roof. So that's more of a headlining set song. When we do that, we'll break it down in the middle, and you know, that's the time in the show where I say smoke them if you got them, whether it be a cigarette or a cigar.
Sure.
I know you're on tour with the Kentucky, or playing shows with the Headhunters, and you've got the Whiskey Myers Firewater Music Festival coming up. Is that right? Yes,
sir. Sure do.
That's got to be exciting.
Very exciting, because a lot of our fans are fans of theirs, and they want us, you know, they're real religious fans. Like I said, really grateful to those people. And every time that they go to a Whiskey Myers show, they post pictures with the band with our shirts on and stuff. And I really think that's what kind of opened Whiskey Myers' eyes to us, because a lot of fans of ours, like I said, are mutual fans of them, and they knew them way before they knew us, because those guys have been tearing it up for years now.
Absolutely. And you guys have, you know, a similar sound. You fall in that Southern rock category that I just don't think there's enough people filling right now. And for Whiskey Myers, who is at the very top of that genre, right, which happens to be my favorite genre, they should love the idea of more people like you bringing attention to the market and expanding, you know, their audience, because the more Southern rock there is, the more demand there's going to be for it. I think there's a direct relation there. And
absolutely. You know, and they're kind of at the front, the foundation of the new movement of Southern rock. They really are, because they found out what they wanted to do early on and have been doing it for 12 years now, 13 years now, and just really, really hammering it out. And same with Blackberry Smoke. You know, they got their thing and Whiskey Myers has theirs, but in a sense, it's completely different. You know, all of these Southern rock bands have something to offer, but not one of them are genuine ripoffs.
And I love that.
I do too. I think there's so much room for it, and people are so excited to it, and they just want to create something new. And when you're in the stage of being excited and you want to make something nobody's heard before, of course you're going to have influences from, you know, the great bands, Molly Hatchet, Leonard Skinner, and Marshall Tucker, you know, like that. But if you can take that and make it your own, I think it's all the more special. And that's what Blackberry Smoke and Whiskey Myers and, you know, we're doing. You know, we're trying to do the best we can at it and just taking it day by day and trying to learn the craft of what we do, but keeping it as genuine as possible.
Well, at the opening of the show here, Chad mentioned that I had a long weekend of music, and what we didn't specify is that I caught Whiskey Myers on their Tornillo tour here in St. Louis on Thursday, and then hiked out to the Lake of the Ozarks to see them on Friday. So I caught back-to-back shows, and God, was that fun. But
I bet it was fun. I know their crowd gets wild too, so I know you had a great time.
Oh my God, absolutely. And yes, the crowd, me, got wild, very.
Well, that's great. That's what it's all about, it's enjoying yourself.
So we were talking about the, say, Southern Rock Revival, which I think is very much alive and well, and you are in a great position doing what you're doing at the time you're doing it, because I think there's going to be so much more demand for your type of music, and you're in a position to capitalize on that demand. And
I believe so.
You know,
I believe so.
I like to see the direction that things are heading in.
Absolutely. And those guys, like I said, they've been killing it now for a while, and they're great musicians, you know, great singers, and just all the best to those guys. If we can just, you know, we got the songs for our next album done, and I think they're going to be a game changer for sure, because we've really spent a lot of time working on these songs. Just as soon as we can get in the studio, you know, we can get them out. But it's definitely very true to our sound. So you don't have to worry about our sound changing at all.
Good.
We'll always have a common thread because of who we are and where we're from. But all we want to do is make honest music, and we're from the South, and we're a rock and roll band. So what you hear is what you get.
I feel like you guys kind of got dealt a bad hand, because the album's actually been out for a little bit, but this is really, I think, you know, recently is you've been able to promote it and tour on it and play some shows on it. With COVID and everything that kind of put the world on hold for a little bit, do you guys feel that you know, I mean, these songs are probably pretty old to you right now? Yeah,
we've been doing these songs for about 6 years now.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been a while. And we had them fresh and ready, and we were ready to go. We were going to release it, and then all of a sudden, like you said, you know, COVID put the brakes on everything, and we were at a dead standstill. We couldn't communicate with each other physically, and we couldn't get out and tour. So that kind of put the brakes on a lot of things. You know, the hype was there, the push was there, and now we're naturally kind of having to grab that push back, because, like I said, you know, the COVID put the brakes on everything for everybody, and a lot of people suffered for it, but we did for sure, because that was supposed to be our thing. We were supposed to go over to Sweden Rocks Fest and do all that, promote the album, and, you know, it just crap hit the fan.
You said you've been doing these songs for 6 years, but it wasn't until the peak of COVID in 2020 that you released your first EP. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, I read an article, and I forget with whom, but they were talking about you started working with your label after they only saw you play once, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
And that was what then initiated your EP.
Well, we did the EP, and then we presented it to the label. Ron Berman come out and watched us play, and then he got behind us and said, hey, let's do a record deal. So we did that, and they released the EP, and we were about to release the album, and then bam, COVID.
We're making up for it now, though, right? We're going to hit the road this summer with the Kentucky Headhunters, and you're going all over. We're going to catch you at that Whiskey Myers Firewater Music Festival September 29th, but we're also going to catch you with the Kentucky Headhunters at a place that I cannot believe you're playing, but I think you have a little history there, Piggott, Arkansas.
Piggott, Arkansas. Yes, sir. Coolest place ever.
So
They
Piggott,
actually gave us our backdrop, which is it's a 30 by 40 or a 20 by 30 American flag. And they gave that to us. We were walking around out there, and you talk about the nicest people ever. And we were walking around out there, and I said, man, that flag is awesome. How much does one of those cost? I'd love to have one. And the guy says, well, fire department, they retire them every other year and fold them up. I think I got a few laying around the shop. And this guy ran all the way back to the firehouse and brought me back the flag.
wow. And that's your backdrop?
Yes, sir.
Wow. How cool is that?
It's so cool. It's so cool. We're so grateful to those people because they treated us like family before they even knew who we were. It's just like small town thing. Anytime we go anywhere and we meet people like that, it just makes us want to do it even more because they're so accepting and they love what we do and we love the people they are.
So if you're in that area from the studio that we're at here, the Barn Studio, it's probably about an hour and a half south of us. Yeah, so it's fairly close. So on September 10th, the Barn and Arch City Music Podcast, we're going to come down and see you guys and the Kentucky Headhunters, maybe drink a beer or two and have a good time.
Wonderful. Yes, sir. That sounds great. Yeah, like I said, they treated us so well, and we'd go back there 10 times over.
Absolutely. We're gonna catch you with Whiskey Myers Firewater Music Festival September 29th. But before that, we're gonna catch you in Piggott, Arkansas with Kentucky Headhunters. They can catch your album and all your music on all the platforms?
Yes, sir. Every platform you can find. You can find our tour dates on our website at georgiathunderbolts.com.
So we're gonna go to georgiathunderbolts.com. Thank you, TJ, for joining us. And you got to go out and check these guys out live and get their new album. We appreciate it, TJ.
We enjoyed having you.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Too far from the track. Seeing things I passed before, turn my head from every open door. music out too far.